Hello and welcome. I'm so glad you're here, my beautiful seekers. My name is Claire, and I'm happy and grateful to present this reading to you using my Claire senses. Before we go into this reading, which will take a deep dive into the sacred collective right now, using the tools of the tarot and technology together as a powerful blend. We're going to bring forth the knowledge you need to know today. If you found this reading, this is your first synchronicity of revelation, as everything in the universe happens for a reason. It is our understanding and integration of certain undeniable primordial truths as revealed by the archetype of the tarot, runes and oracle cards together, combined in the reading. We will see what it is. And in addition to the technology reading that I shared with you on my previous video, we're going to take a deeper dive using the Hermetic Tarot, which can give us a deeper understanding. And to further elaborate, this is the card deck for the Hermetic Tarot. This is kind of a better explanation. Considered to be one of the most important esoteric tarot decks created in the 20th century, the Hermetic Tarot is now back in print, which is this one, in response to considerable demand. Godfrey Dowson's subtle designs emphasize the Golden Dawn's astrological attributes while also integrating angelic, numerical, and Kabbalistic elements. The black and white artwork features intricate detailing that highlights the powerful symbolism in both the minor and major arcana. So that's what I like about this deck. We're going to take a deeper dive to the reading we started with in my previous video, simply because it's combining both the decks. So in the earlier reading, I went more into detail using the traditional tarot that you see on the computer screen. And we went through each of the descriptions based on the traditional tarot. And now we're going to basically reinforce the same reading. As you can see, I pulled, well, maybe you can't see, they are detailed, but I will let you know that I've pulled these same cards that we have from the previous reading, and consider this like the extended reading. So that's why using the Hermetic Tarot, we could take an even deeper dive into the meaning of these cards that we had previously looked at, as you'll recognize here on the screen. But in this case, we're going to use the actual cards laid out in this particular spread. Now, as we go through the meanings in the Hermetic Tarot, one of the things that kind of jumped out at me as I reviewed the spread in its entirety, and this is a timeless reading, by the way, so if it found you, it's probably meant for you in this timeless moment of now. But, the conclusion, the synthesis, I should say, of this reading is the card of the Emperor. And the Emperor is the fourth card in the major arcana. Now, what I find interesting as we zoom back out is that if you add up the numerical value of each of these cards, the Hermit, the High Priestess, the Two of Wands, the Five of Swords, and the Emperor. The Emperor is the fourth card in the major arcana. We get number 22. Now, 22 is a master number, and in numerology, but what numerology asks us to do is reduce the number to its smallest denomination. So 22 reduces, if you add 2 plus 2, to the number 4. So it brings us right back to the Emperor. And so I'm bringing that up in the beginning of this reading, even though as we went through in the previous video, which I will link to in the description, you will have come right back full circle to the Emperor. But in actuality, the reading starts with the Hermit as the first card. So I'm going to kind of let us look at this in more detail as I bring it over here where you can get a better view. And Magus of the Voice of Light is the name of the Hermit in this deck, the Hermetic Tarot. And so let's take a look at the meaning. This is number 9 in the major arcana. Magus of the Voice of Light. The magical lamp appears above the solitary figure wrapped in hood and mantle. The lamp burns without wick or fuel. It is lit only by the lux of the universal fluidic agent. Even without fuel, the beams radiate in all directions. The face that burns in the golden triangle is a symbol It symbolizes the fecundity of the infinite and the eternal, meaning fertility, growth. At the bottom of the card are the cosmic egg and a shaft of wheat, dormant for years, but easy to nurture to life at the opportune time. That's pretty interesting. To the back of the hermit is a large plant yielding a seed at its summit. The snake, coiled and passive around the symbols of Virgo and Mercury, Virgo's ruling planet, is also ready to spring to life. Fascinating. The meaning of the card in the Hermetic Tarot is wisdom sought, knowledge, divine inspiration, counsel, inner strength. So these are pretty detailed symbols that there's so much more than even described there. But, you know, the idea of the wheat laying dormant, waiting for the perfect time, and this hermit appearing at the top of the reading, to me, as the first card, is very powerful in the sense that you might want to ask, is this now the perfect time for that dormant opportunity to come back to life? You know, seeds by nature are very interesting, because you could look at a seed or buy a pack of seeds at the nursery, and just like this wheat at the bottom of the card, they're just dormant. They look dead. They don't look like they're, you know, anything but little clumps. And yet when you plant them in the ground and fertilize them and they're exposed to sunlight, they sprout and bloom into the plant, which we see behind the hermit. And so it really kind of shows you the full cycle from, you know, formulation. And you could see that coiled serpent kind of, to me, they always talk about in esoteric traditions, you know, the rising of the Kundalini. That snake looks kind of both like a spine as well as a coiled serpent, and it's definitely rising, uh, like almost like the hermit is the snake charmer, but it's Kundalini rising is referring to a spiritual growth and rising, basically like ascension, awakening, enlightenment. And all of the symbols on this card, you see what looks like, a lamp above with the upward pointing triangle at the top, which upward pointing triangles represent the masculine energy. But there's also a figure, looks like a face, and also kind of a tiny body below that triangle, and then the concentric circles and rings, and it's like a whole lamp being built there with 3 lights, a big lamp on the top and 2 smaller flames on each side, the right and the left, which, as I look at this card, what that seems to represent is a balancing of the light, almost like a balancing of the light and dark aspects, or in Jungian terms, the union of opposites, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. So the hermit can represent many of these important archetypal themes being present in your life at the top of this reading, and asking for that introspection that the card demands. So this is a good time to seek some solitude, to go within, meaning, listen to the inner voice, be true to yourself, and follow those intuitive nudges that you're guided to do. I see on his robe there's the symbol of a flower on his headdress at the end of it, and his feet seem to be crossed under his robes at the bottom. Don't know, just observing some of these other aspects, but really, it's taking that time to listen to your inner guidance, hear that still small voice, which a lot of people will, when they're spiritually connected, will hear the voice of God in that solitude, in that silence, when they're in that meditative state, being quiet and not allowing outside influences to interfere. That's part of the advice here of the hermit for us today. So as we go back to the spread and continue to this next card, this is the High Priestess, which is a waning influence. And we'll take a deeper dive to see what the High Priestess is going to tell us. So let's see. Take a look at this. The Princess of the Silver Star is the name of the High Priestess. The second card in the Major Arcana. Very important position there. The Priestess of the Silver Star. The moon appears above the seated priestess figure of Isis, the eternal virgin. She is adorned in the purest feminine light of the moon, the same light that serves as a veil to hide the moon. The same light that serves as a veil to hide the moon, the same light that serves as a veil to hide the eternal spirit. The High Priestess holds upon her knee a book, partially concealed by her mantle, which holds the truth behind the veil of feminine light. At her breast she holds a lyre, the law of Artemis, for she is also a huntress, and like Diana, she hunts by enchantment. The card rules the path of the camel that runs from Kether to Thiphereth on the tree of life. The same path runs between the two gigantic pillars beside the throne upon which the high priestess is majestically seated. The high priestess controls the energy of life between the two pillars that are topped by spiraling pinnacles. At the bottom of the card are the large spheres of her throne. Some researchers view the seated figure in this card as illustrious and controversial. Pope John, who allegedly reigned during the middle of the 9th century, Pope Joan, they review the figure as Pope Joan. That's who they think the high priestess could allegedly be, if you believe that. But the meaning of the card at its core represents change, alteration, fluctuation, sound judgment, common sense, and wisdom. So there's a lot wrapped into this card. Let me bring it closer. Yes, so those two pillars are quite interesting. I mean, there's a lot of platonic solids in these cards, circles and triangles and squares, standing on her throne where she's seated is on 4 books representing the knowledge. You see the large illuminated, there's the moon radiating those rays downward, bringing it to the earth level, which is reflecting as above, so below. And then you have the 2 spheres at the base of those pillars. You have a little black wavy portion coming behind where she's seated. She is holding that book of knowledge and has a headdress, which is usually showing the moon centered in between the 2, look like horns. And the way the book, it's like she's holding a specific page in the book to me. And that vase looks very elaborate and adorned, and a chain around her neck might be decorative. So this high priestess looks very important, that the books she has are important. There's some important knowledge that's the waning influence, has been illuminated. This has been illuminated already. This is an influence that has come in, revealed the light, similar to the eclipse we just had recently. So the eclipse effect lasts for 6 months. And so, just because the eclipse passed doesn't mean that we all won't still feel the effects of it. And that's kind of what the waning influence, the high priestess has come in, the revelations have happened, the insights, the intuition, the wisdom, often high priestess showing with her eyes closed, like as if she's looking within, even though she's looking down at the book. It's hard to read a book with your eyes closed. So as if she's contemplating that knowledge that she's sitting upon very solidly. So that is the waning influence. And then now we come to the 3rd card, which is the 2 of Wands. And let's take a look at the 2 of Wands here. Very interesting card. Okay, so this is what we're talking about with the 2 of Wands. Lord of Dominion. The 2 of Wands is the Lord of Dominion. The names of the ruling angels, Vehuel and Daniel, appear in Hebrew in the left and right respectively. A hand grasps 2 crossed wands. Flames issue from the point of junction. Each wand is topped with a ram's head representing Aries. Ooh, Aries again. We had Aries significantly in the fourth card, the Emperor, which we're going to get to again, but this is a extended reading from the previous reading. If you missed that, you can check it out. It's in my playlist, and I'll link it in the description. So, Aries in a globe with pointed arrow at the bottom to represent Mars. Two small wands above and below have flames issuing forth. The symbols for Aries and Mars appear at the top and the bottom. The card pertains to the first decan of Aries ruled by Mars, thus Mars in Aries from 1 to 10 degrees. Strength. The meaning of the card is strength and dominion, harmony of rule, justice and boldness, courage and shamelessness, revenge and restlessness. That's a lot wrapped into that. But traditionally, most tarot interpretations of the Two of Wands, don't highlight the strength and courage of the card that I've seen. And so the dominion and the harmony of rule, the justice and the boldness, there's a lot of fairness coming out of this card, which you could see with the way that the two wands seem two can be balanced. They're connected in the middle. They're crossed in the middle. There's flames all around. Not one wand appears any more dominant than the other. There's two fingers that stand out in the front and then clasped by the thumb at the top, and the other two fingers below kind of in the back almost. So the hand is very important in this card, which the Lord of Dominion. And that's very interesting because the High Priestess symbolism also reflects the hand. So these cards are kind of connecting a lot with each other. And then the next influence we're going to talk about here is what's coming up is the Five of Swords. So now let's look at this card from the standpoint of the divinatory meanings from the guidebook. Lord of Defeat. Wow. 5 swords point upward. Their hilts depicting birds, except for the center sword, which has an interlaced handle. Very interesting. On the swords from left to right, the swan and dove pertain to Venus, the pheasant and hawk to Aquarius. In the center, the image of the man relates to Aquarius. The petals of the rose, which in the Four of Swords had been reinstated, are now torn asunder and falling. The pointed rays are broken and dispersed. Above and below are seen the symbols of Venus and Aquarius. This card represents the first decan of Aquarius ruled by Venus. Thus, Venus in Aquarius, 1 to 10 degrees, and represents angels Aniel and Shamaya. The meaning of the card, according to the guidebook: contest finished with disappointed outcome. Failure, defeat, anxiety, trouble, poverty, avarice, grieving after gain, laborious, unresting, vile nature, spiteful, malicious, slandering, lying, busybody, and gossip, resentful of peace and harmony between others, cruel yet cowardly, thankless, unreliable, clever and quick in thought and speech, feelings of pity, easily aroused, but unenduring. Oh my goodness, that is a lot of negativity that we've been dealing with here in the collective. the contest was finished, but the results were disappointing. It wasn't a good outcome. It felt like failure and defeat. It caused anxiety and trouble and maybe led to poverty and other people showing their greedy natures and leaving grieving in its place. Even though there might have been gain, it's grieving after gain, laborious and unresting. I mean, just so much hardship. So if you've been dealing with that malicious, slandering, lying, and gossip, then it's been a tough road. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes. So it's hard to get out of that sometimes. You know, when you're faced with all that negativity, what do you do to get out of that? And how can you rise above without sinking to the level of those others that may have been gossiping about you or lying, or the busybody who's getting into your business, those people who are being cruel but cowardly because they're doing it behind the scenes. They're sneaking around behind your back. They're talking about you. They're talking cleverly and, make it seem like they weren't going after you when they really were. Those thankless cowards, they're just unreliable, never can be counted on. And all you could do is feel sorry for them, because these people, they're so spiteful. They get easily riled up about anything. They're on a hair trigger. You're walking on eggshells, and it just feels like, it's a tough situation. So here, without sinking into the negativity, which of course can be easy to do, the answer, the solution to all of this comes up next. So if you look to the tarot and the reading itself for the answer, this brings us in the center of the reading. I have to pull it out here. Is the fourth position. The fourth card in the major arcana is the Emperor. This is our fifth card, however, and it's the synthesis. This is like the outcome here. And the Emperor is the solution to what we just talked about. The fourth card in the major arcana. All these cards add up to 22. And 22 is a powerful number in and of itself, but 2 plus 2 equals 4. So the Emperor, the conclusion, the outcome, the result, the synthesis, what you could look forward to is the Emperor. The Emperor is coming in to take charge. Son of the morning, and morning like in daytime morning. Beneath the Emperor's left foot is a bee, which is representing the alchemical equivalent of the ram. I didn't know that. 2 wild Himalayan ram's horn, one at the upper left and the other at the center right, reveal the sign of Aries, which appears at the right as well. The eagle and the flag combine to suggest a conqueror. See, the Emperor is the conqueror to those gossiping fools we just talked about. All those people plotting against you, lying and slandering you. The Emperor knows what to do, believe me. The eagle and the flag combine to suggest a conqueror and the idea of authority. Supernatural powers are suggested at the top of the card by the celestial bodies that personify power. And also sudden, random, and violent activity. The orbs, surmounted by a Greek cross at the lower left, signifies the energy has reached a successful end. See, there it is. And that the government and our governmental rule has been firmly established. The Emperor is now in charge. The meanings of war, conquest, victory, worldly power, ambition. It can be a little bit of strife because, those were a lot of negative forces to overcome. It's not easy, but the Emperor, he's got his foot in control, the alchemical symbol of the ram. He's got his foot on the ram. He's holding the ram. He's surrounded by ram. Ram and Aries, and we're approaching Aries season. And there's a lot of influence astrologically, without going into the astrology, coming out right now. But you could see that eagle at the bottom Eagles represent power and authority. He's standing on above the eagle as well, so he has even more authority than the eagle, than the ram. The ram, bulls are often, the Aries bull is often considered, very in charge, dangerous. You don't want to mess around with them. Well, this emperor, he's in full control of that ram. He's got him by the horns, literally. He's holding up that wand. That wand looks to me a little bit like a sunflower flower at the top, but the bottom of it is right in the middle of those concentric rings, indicating like he's in the center of power. All those celestial orbs above, I thought that looked like a black hole, like they're either coming out or going into the black hole. But just power of the universe, order of the universe. And the way this emperor is, he's like fully engaged. He's holding up if that's a scepter, one hand. He's holding on to the ram's horn in the other. He's stepping on the bee. He's standing on a whole pile of symbols at the bottom, including the eagle. It's hard to see the eagle. I hope you see that. And, that's a very positive conclusion to all of what we just went through. And that's a good sign, that by taking control, it started with the hermit being a little bit isolated, but giving the chance to go within, listen to the inner guidance, the high priestess, that intuition, that wisdom coming to the fore, dealing with the Two of Wands, being in a position of strength and power, knowing how to overcome the obstacles, and all those Five of Swords, those negative people, places and things that are coming after you, trying to disturb your peace, can all be rectified as we restore balance with the Emperor at the center of the reading. He's going to take over, and there's no, particular gender here, but as depicted by the cards, he's going to take over. We could all be our own emperors. And that's what I really want to acknowledge in this reading, that each of you are your own emperor. You are the authority in your life. That's what it's saying. We are the authority in our life. Nobody's going to tell us what to do. We know, we have the answers. We've gone within. We've fought the battles. We've picked up the truth. And now we're living our truth. And we know how to take the right action with Aries. It's 1 foot forward, put 1 foot in front of the next. Keep moving forward. You're going to get to the goal. Victory is assured. The outcome is assured. Strength and victory are already in the reading with the Two of Wands. With all of it, 3 major arcana out of 5 is a powerful reading. That's why I wanted to take the deep dive, using the Hermetic Tarot, explaining each card in more detail, going through the symbolism. And believe me, there is a lot more symbolism than what we covered. I feel like we just scratched the surface. But as a beginning point, then that is what I wanted to share with you. So if you made it this far, I really appreciate you for hanging in, listening, and hopefully learned something today from the Hermetic Tarot. I am very grateful for this opportunity to present it to you. And if you found any value in this reading, please like, subscribe, and hit the notifications, share it with a friend, pass it on to somebody that might benefit from it as well. And thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you on the next one. Bye for now.